Have you ever stopped to ponder the impact of global finance on your everyday life? It's a thought-provoking question, isn't it? Well, it's also the jumping-off point for a fascinating journey that we're about to embark on as we delve into the pages of an insightful book, The Finance Curse: How Global Finance is Making Us All Poorer, penned by the renowned author Nicholas Shaxson. Shaxson is no novice when it comes to the world of finance. With a background in investigative journalism and a keen eye for the interplay between economics and politics, he has carved a niche for himself as a respected authority on the subject of global finance. His works have been instrumental in shedding light on the often obscure mechanisms of the financial world, and The Finance Curse is no exception. In this book, Shaxson takes us on a riveting journey, peeling back the layers of the global financial system. The main theme, as you might guess from the title, is the paradoxical idea that the very institutions and systems designed to create wealth can also be the architects of poverty. Imagine an elaborate dance with global finance twirling and spinning in the spotlight. It is a dance that touches every corner of our lives, from the price of the coffee we sip each morning to the stability of our jobs, and even the future of our planet. Shaxson illustrates how this dance, while seemingly elegant and beneficial, has a darker side. The first chapter of the book introduces us to a paradoxical situation. Imagine a world where wealth doesn't necessarily mean prosperity. Sounds strange, right? Yet this is the reality we are introduced to in the first chapter of Nicholas Shaxson's riveting book, The Finance Curse: How Global Finance is Making Us All Poorer. Now, let's take a moment to delve into this paradox. The book presents us with the idea that countries with immense financial resources can actually be poorer than those with fewer resources. Yes, you heard it right. More wealth could equate to more poverty. It's counterintuitive, but stick with me here. Shaxson introduces us to the concept of the finance curse. It's like a double-edged sword. On one side, you have the glittering allure of substantial financial resources. It's tempting, it's seductive, and it promises a world of prosperity. But on the other side, there's a less glamorous reality. The finance curse is the idea that an overgrown financial sector can drain resources from other sectors of the economy, leading to a net loss for society as a whole. In essence, the finance curse is a phenomenon where the growth of the finance sector can actually harm the economy it is supposed to serve. It's like a parasite growing at the expense of its host. It's a tricky situation, because financial wealth, which should theoretically lead to prosperity, instead creates an environment of economic imbalance and social inequality. Shaxson gives us a new lens to view global finance, challenging our preconceived notions of wealth and prosperity. He takes us on a journey, showing us that the world of finance isn't always as it seems. It's a world where more can be less, where wealth can lead to poverty, and where the finance curse can turn the promise of prosperity into a reality of deprivation. What a paradox, isn't it? Let's move on to the next chapter. We'll delve deeper into the intricacies of global finance and continue our exploration of this fascinating yet perplexing world. Chapter 2 takes us further into the world of finance. As we journey deeper into Shaxson's narrative, we find ourselves immersed in a world where finance isn't just a sector, but a pervasive force that has seeped into every nook and cranny of our lives. This phenomenon, dear listeners, is termed as the financialization of everything. In layman's terms, financialization is like the invisible hand of Adam Smith, but this hand is everywhere, influencing every decision we make. From the food we eat, to the homes we live in, to the jobs we do, it's all under the sway of financial forces. And it's not just individuals, even governments and institutions aren't immune to this influence. This chapter elucidates how this financialization came to be. It paints a picture of the gradual shift from the traditional, tangible economy of goods and services to an economy dominated by financial services, investments, and trading. It's as if we've moved from a world where we valued things for their intrinsic worth to a world where everything has a price tag. But what does this mean for us, for our economies? Well, Shaxson argues that this shift isn't necessarily a good thing. He points out that when finance becomes the be-all and end-all, it can lead to an imbalance. The real economy, the one that produces goods, creates jobs, and feeds people, can be overshadowed and weakened by the financial economy. Moreover, the chapter also underscores the risk of financial bubbles and crashes that come with excessive financialization. It emphasizes that when everything is reduced to a commodity to be traded, we become vulnerable to the whims and fancies of the financial markets. In conclusion, Shaxson leaves us with a thought-provoking question. In the race to financialize everything, are we losing sight of the real value of things? Are we trading our well-being for wealth? It's fascinating to see how finance has permeated every aspect of our lives, isn't it? As we ponder on these questions, let's delve deeper into the cost of this financial dominance in the next scene. The third chapter of the book delves into the cost of financial dominance. Imagine a world where the financial sector is the puppet master, pulling the strings of society, dictating the rhythm of our lives. In this chapter, Shaxson paints a vivid picture of the high price we pay for financial dominance. He leads us into a labyrinth of economic disparity, where the financial sector sits enthroned above all else. It's an industry that has grown so powerful, so pervasive, that it has become the backbone of our global economy. Yet, like a tree that overshadows the rest of the forest, this dominance stunts the growth of other sectors. Shaxson argues that the overbearing influence of finance leads to a phenomenon he calls the finance curse. It's like the Midas touch, but instead of everything turning to gold, everything turns into a financial product. This financialization seeps into every corner of our lives, from our homes and jobs to our education and healthcare. It's a world where money talks and everything else walks. But what happens when the puppet master pulls the wrong string? What happens when the financial sector stumbles? The 2008 global financial crisis is a stark reminder of the catastrophic consequences. Millions of people lost their homes, their jobs, their security. And the cost was not just economic, it was human. Shaxson also highlights the widening wealth gap as another cost of financial dominance. The rich become richer, the poor become poorer, and the middle class, they're getting squeezed out. It's a game of Monopoly where the bank always wins. Finally, he talks about the erosion of democracy. When finance holds the reins, political decisions often serve the interests of the financial sector rather than the public good. It's a sobering reality where our voices are drowned out by the sound of cash registers. So, what's the true cost of financial dominance? It's more than just dollars and cents. It's about the quality of our lives, the fairness of our society, and the integrity of our democracy. It's a sobering thought, the cost of financial dominance. Chapter 4 takes us on a journey through the global financial web. Imagine a massive spider web, intricately woven, with threads reaching out in all directions. This web is not spun by a spider, but by the hands of financial institutions, and it encircles the globe, touching every economy in its reach. This chapter unravels the complexity of this web, revealing its structure and the machinations behind it. Like a detective story, it uncovers the hidden connections, the secret pathways, and the invisible threads that bind economies together. It's a story of power and control, of money flowing across borders, and of the impact of these financial flows on people's lives. One of the key points highlighted is the role of tax havens. These are not just tropical islands with palm trees and white sand beaches, but also include major global cities like London and New York. These places serve as nodes in the web, attracting vast amounts of wealth and allowing it to move around the world with ease. The chapter also emphasizes the impact of the web on economies worldwide. It's not just about the flow of money, but also about the influence and control that comes with it. This power can shape policies, dictate terms, and even determine the fate of nations. But the web is not just a tool for power and control. It's also a source of vulnerability. As the recent financial crises have shown, when one part of the web is affected, the shockwaves can spread across the globe, affecting economies far and wide. Finally, the chapter points out the paradox at the heart of the web. Despite its complexity and power, it's also fragile and unstable. Its threads are stretched thin, and it's constantly at risk of unraveling. This leaves us with a question: how can we make this web more stable and equitable? But that's a topic for another time. The global financial web is indeed a complex and intriguing subject. The final chapter of the book gives us hope and direction. It's a beacon in the foggy landscape of global finance, illuminating a path towards a more equitable and sustainable future. Nicholas Shaxson presents us with a blueprint, a roadmap that can help us curb the adverse effects of global finance. The author argues, quite convincingly, that the first step in this journey is awareness. We must understand the intricate, often hidden mechanisms of the financial world and their impact on our daily lives. We should challenge the dominant narrative that finance is too complex for the average person to comprehend. In reality, it's the obscurity and lack of transparency that allows this system to perpetuate inequality. Next, Shaxson advocates for a shift in our collective mindset. We need to start viewing finance as a means to an end, rather than an end in itself. It should serve society, not the other way around. This requires a fundamental change in our attitudes towards money and wealth. The book also emphasizes the importance of robust regulations. These are crucial in ensuring that financial institutions act responsibly and in the best interests of society. They can prevent the reckless behavior that often leads to financial crises, protecting us all from their devastating consequences. Shaxson also calls for the democratization of finance. This means making sure that everyone has access to financial services and that these services are fair and transparent. It's about leveling the playing field and giving every individual the opportunity to thrive. Lastly, the author stresses the need for international cooperation. The issues we face are global in nature, and so must be the solutions. We must work together as a global community to build a financial system that benefits everyone. This final chapter serves as a rallying cry, a call to action. It's a reminder that we have the power to shape our financial destiny and to create a world where wealth serves us all. It's reassuring to know there are ways to navigate this complex world of finance. Now that we've journeyed through the book, what are the key takeaways? Firstly, the book paints a picture of global finance as a double-edged sword. On one hand, it provides the fuel for economic growth, innovation, and prosperity. On the other hand, if mismanaged or left unchecked, it can lead to economic instability, inequality, and impoverishment. The double-edged nature of global finance is a fundamental theme that permeates throughout the book. Secondly, Nicholas Shaxson delves into the financialization of everything. This refers to how financial mechanisms, markets, and measurements come to dominate our everyday lives. From our jobs, homes, and even our education, nothing is exempt from the long reach of finance. We've seen how this trend has created a world where money and financial gain often trump other values, such as social well-being, environmental sustainability, and equality. Next, we've discovered the hidden cost of financial dominance. The book unpacks the price we all pay, often unknowingly, for the supremacy of finance. It unveils how the over-reliance on finance can suck talent, distort economies, and leave countries vulnerable to financial crises. It's not just about the direct financial losses, but also the missed opportunities for sustainable growth and development. Fourthly, the global financial web is a complex, interconnected network that spans across countries and continents. It's not just about Wall Street or the City of London, but about offshore tax havens, shadow banking systems, and the murky world of illicit finance. This web can trap nations, making them overly dependent on finance and vulnerable to its volatility. Finally, the way forward. The book doesn't just diagnose the problem, but also offers solutions. Shaxson argues for a definancialization of our economies and our lives. This doesn't mean abolishing finance, but rather reining it in, making it serve us rather than dominate us. It's about creating a more balanced, sustainable, and inclusive financial system that benefits everyone, not just the financial elite. In essence, The Finance Curse provides a critical examination of global finance. It challenges us to question our assumptions, to look beyond the shiny facade of financial success, and to confront the darker side of finance. It's a call to action, urging us to reclaim control over finance and to use it as a tool for good. So, to wrap things up, The Finance Curse is an eye-opener. It compels us to think differently about finance, to recognize its power and potential, but also its pitfalls and perils. It's an invitation to imagine a different kind of financial system, one that's rooted in fairness, stability, and shared prosperity. Remember, understanding global finance is the first step to making it work for us, not against us.